Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Team Liquid. Today, we'll be covering the first day of the European bracket in Team Liquid's Alienware Tournament Series. These players will be competing to face some of the best as they work their way through several rounds of this Fortnite competition. We're currently in stage 1, and only the first 100 players will move on, so every point counts. And speaking of points, we definitely got a lot to discuss there. Currently, we'll be deciding based off of a factor of kills plus positional placement within the game. So, depending on how you fare there, you'll find yourself to victory. These players will be competing for what is a $2,500 cash prize, plus as much Alienware equipment as you could possibly desire. I am your host and play-by-play caster for the day here, Zephyr, joining you as we do take our way into the game here, and the battle bus is coming through as everyone begins to launch off here. Looking to see where the circle starts off here. We'll have to see how everyone really begins to fare as we look to see what the prep is going to be looking like. Now, I will admit there is a large variance in terms of skill level here, as this is a community tournament. So you will see some of the absolute best and hopefully not the worst as we see these players go from what is the outskirts, playing around that edge, into some of the most intense fights you could see. That being said, starting off here with Ace Cool Kid, nothing too much right off the bat. A bit of some grounding here as we do see him play around what is just a bit of trying to get those early pickups, noticeably trying to get the resources back there. Able to pick up some of the initial pumps and get those shields coming out here. That's definitely going to add up here as we look to see possibly if he looks to take a fight. Already taking shots towards that other building, making sure he checks it out. Pops into the car here. Going to be looking for a tight makeaway as this storm is going to be dropping within the next 10 seconds. And, you know, those trees can cause us all trouble, I'll be honest. And at this point, you might as well forgo them. The car will provide use, I'm sure of it, but it definitely does bring attention to his position. But as he scans it out, nothing more for him there. Going to keep moving forward along the ledge here. Moving away notably from most of the player base that has landed across from him as a whole. No, nothing big there. Do have first storm coming in. We'll have to take a look here in a moment to see where that has worked its way out as these players are beginning to making their decisions regarding where they might possibly want to end up in terms of getting where they play out here. Skipping over, though, down to the very, very outskirts of the map, right towards the Holly Hedge field, we do have Bit King. And once again, pretty simple standard rotation here. More resource management and collection. Sadly, no major players to really take note of in terms of skirmishing as it stands. But once again, more cars to grace the map as a whole. Looking for that as it plays into the rotation. Hopefully, all that noise will bring attention to someone eventually, and they'll take the price. That being said, nothing of a rare drop as is, but we do get a peek at what the circle did look like there towards the center of the map, more towards the east as it does take towards that Boney Burb Spire Lazy Lake area. We'll see how everyone begins to push towards the west here, but mostly we'll definitely be getting an edge push as a whole. I will say those who come in from the west, like we saw earlier from what was Bridge, is going to be definitely finding them into some particular choke points where we might see some action. But Here we are with Lucky Shepherd once again, just preparing, getting ready for himself here. Nothing too notable as he doesn't have any particular items that really stand out to me. Just the occasional resources that might bolster his effect. But as it stands right now, just trying to find something that will garner him the ability to build and defend himself as he makes his way further in the circle. But personally, there's no one around this man, so he should have a fair time as he finds himself that rare pump shotgun. Furthermore, past that, though, going to be continuing inward here. Nothing too crazy. I'll tell you, it's a wide map. I'm surprised we haven't seen that much of a falling action. Out of the 60 players that kind of come in here, we are already down 25% of the available roster. Switching our attention to Skipper X here. Not quite sure what is going on. He is across that Dirty Docks area, but personally, maybe he'll find himself in a fight. As we move to that Bony Burbs area, we do see Slurp taking on the AI here, trying to find himself some extra resource of advantage. See if he's able to pull up the buildings, giving a little bit more defense to play around as it goes down. Notably, this does cause a lot of noise here, so we'll see if the person, I can't quite get a grasp on who's watching from the side, but they might take advantage of this move from Slurp here, as he is going to be possibly peeking forward there. Able to find a great snipe, 135. He's able to actually find the successful kill and drop whoever that opponent was. Picks up the spaceship and decides, I've had enough. I'm flying off here. Heading now. That being said, he isn't currently within the storm area, so getting quite the high ground, possibly getting a vantage point, I would say. Maybe looking to see if he can find any particular action as he continues to move forward, look for what is probably the best possible spot for himself, as this, of course, will definitely draw attention to his current position. That being said, the map is definitely thinned out. There isn't a lot of pressure here. I'm not quite sure if the Storm Surge is something that is available for this match as a whole, something that typically allows these players to, find more competition as they are forced to actually go and damage each other. Notably, though, Slurp coming back over what is the Corny Complex, actually making his way finally into what we see as the circle there. So he does come down here in what could be a major group of people. If he does choose a wrong area, there's a good chance he might find himself fighting. He does spot right off the top of that gas station two individuals going for the initial duking out here, and he might coming for a third-party advantage. He's got the beam taking him away. Room for the fight. He immediately is going for the destruction on the ship, and Slurp's got to make a removal here or else he's going to find himself in a little bit of peril, but he does not care. This man sends the beams down. He sends the lasers. He's got the shielding down here and available as he wrecks havoc across the board. You can see the builds coming out. You can see the towers bolstering here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop this demise. Another shield take there, a little bit of the 30, just trying to blast this one out. Finally, eeping into what is the little bit of health available, and Atlantis Jonah is officially down. T7 Slurp picks up his first kill of the game, bolstering his effect going into this. And you know what? He says, that's all right. Spaceship works well. We're going to go back to it. So, moving back towards the complex there, we'll have to see where he continues to push out here. And personally, if this is the advantage that he's working with, I think he will find great success. Hopefully, he continues to bolster that. But now checking into what is the outskirts of that gas station there. Going to be making sure, go back, collect some of the resources that are going to be more apparent as the circle closes in. To give a little bit of that update, of course, we are now nearing that halfway point in terms of the player base, so crowd is definitely beginning to thin out here as we see him make his way back to that Corny Complex and might possibly intercept quite the standoffs that are occurring here. I'm not quite sure if he's able to see what I can here on the map, as he is just going to be passing right by that. That being said here, Map is beginning to finally close in with the Surge as a whole. You do have a majority of that player base actually found on the outskirts. They're playing what is that edge, Lazy Lake, Corn Complex, most notably some of the biggest. But we're now back to Skipper X, who we notably saw at the very beginning here. He's managed to find himself a little bit better equipment as he protects and goes for this, what looks to be the assault, making a decision, probably managing that inventory. He does have the double jump pad, which could fare very useful in the future, especially if we see some height battles occurring later as these circles become smaller and smaller. But with 2 kills on his belt, he definitely looks like a prime target to watch as the game continues on. Moving forward there, now looking at Swaggy07. Little bit of a tussle on his mic here off the outskirts. What is that Lazy Lake area? Trying to see if he can eep his way into this house, get a little bit of that sonic vision, but he's not quite able to see where might below the other player really be here. He does take a bit of that grenade, but nothing quite available for him. He's going to drop down. Let's see if he's able to actually find a bit of the placement here regarding his competitor. I'm not quite sure what that was on the outskirts. Sounded like a little bit of that blast there. Oh, he makes it in, finds a good blast onto the shield there, trying to come back with that pump, and he finally knocks down Ace in the last moments there. A beautiful rush there from Swaggy07, coming straight directly into the house, taking great advantage, I would note, of the sound cues there, making sure he's got it. Comes back, though. He's going to give him some shield, put him back up to 100, and he's looking fresh as can be. That being said, it looks like we do have that second circle finally marked out here to give y'all an update. It is down towards the southern edge, a bit closer to that Lazy Lake area. So what was a massive kind of take on the Corny Complex, and that positioning is going to be a little bit more heavy as all these players are now forced to make a move towards the southeast. Hopefully, we'll see them kind of go into it. But now, Surgical Goblin, one of our favorite players here at Team Liquid, happens to be a competitive entity on our Clash Royale team, doing his best to edit and build his way out of this situation as he's trying to find some source of healing. He's able to get some of those peppers off just to get him that little bit of advantage, but right in front of him is the available target. Finds a massive pump shot to take down 100's worth of the shield, and it drops low. He's going to take a little bit of a chunk damage. Not quite sure if his opponent is on the tracking here. He might actually have found his way to safety, dropping in what could have been a third-party positioning. Surgical Goblin taking his expertise, his planning, his strategies as a player from Clash Royale. Granted, he does have that Fortnite experience. I'm not going to meme on him too much. But that being said, he is shot back. They have finally spotted him out after his initial drop. He's going to continue shielding up, but notably, he does not have any further available resources to keep him healthy. And it's looking like his building mats are getting lower and lower. He's going to come for that tree, try to get something to defend himself as the players are definitely working towards area. Sadly, though, if you look towards that minimap, actually they've completely disengaged from Surgical Goblin, so he's definitely in a bit of a tizzy, but he does make his way towards that circle, and as low health as he is, it's definitely going to be a problem as he might intercept those who have come from that Colossal Crops area or that Lazy Lake. That being said, scanning out the area, just getting some knowledge. It looks like he'll be safe for the time being. Finding himself what I would consider some fried chicken. Hopefully he finds a good source of health back onto the revenue here. He does have the 2 kills, and I will say, puts himself back up to 100, and he finds a medkit with the extra shielding. It's definitely going to look good, and with the car in tow, like I said earlier, this is going to draw attention, especially as we make our way back towards that gas station. I'm curious if he's going to run into some of the early skirmishes we saw. Waits from that car immediately. He's going to back off. He does see that there was a skirmish here at the beginning, but it does not look like. But there is a response. Immediately, good shot back, puts the wall back up, comes through with the edit. Able to get the shot off, but his health is looking lower and lower. Able to pin him just barely as the wall comes back up. Puts another defense there as he goes for the immediate short shielding as he pushes himself back up to a 50 of state. He's got to make a backing. Now, it looks like the both of them have opted to go for safe strats, but it's going to be the top side here. Now Surgical in a poor position as he has lost his grounding. A bit of a shame, but Goblin goes down, Verse taking an excellent kill in response. I will say, a bit of a shame. We love Surgical Goblin here at TL. He's one of our favorite competitors, and he honestly looked good with the Devil. But now, over onto the side here, right on those outskirts of Lazy Lake, a little bit of a sniping battle going on, and looks like we've got Kingdom Come in a tower here. EP Varde trying to see if he can maybe pick off a little bit of a shot. And he finds him surfing through the air, and it's going to be one whiff. He does manage to get a little bit of that shielding, but it's not going to be at the cost of him getting spotted out here. So now, in a bit of that tizzy, he's going to be having to make his escape, and now he's in a direct tussle here, a 1v1 standoff into the pressure of this build. Granted, he does have so many resources available in terms of being able to heal and keep himself safe. Looks like he's going to try to be making that escape towards the river, getting shot out here, going for those dives, trying to make sure he dodges and weaves and tries to get out of what the presence behind him holds, but it looks like they have backed off for the time being. So Varde, though, has not found himself a particular kill at this current moment as he makes his way towards that Lazy Lake. He does have a good set of equipment with the sniper and the pump as well as that assault, but I will say it's going to be a bit difficult as he comes into what is a hot point here on the map, with the majority of the players all taking up their definite roosts here on the lake end. That being said, we can already see those towers off in the distance. That Lazy Lake area, like I brought up, going to be where this final circle here, this next circle, my apologies, is beginning to come out here. Varde, though, turns back, playing with that sniper, unable to get off that free shot that was available to him. He does spot up the car noticeably, as I did say, that does bring the attention. Sadly, he is making some of those particular whiffs, so pulls back, says, let's get those resources available. I see those towers in the distance. I've got to make sure I have the available resources to compete, make sure I have that high ground advantage. That being said, turning back here, not quite. We'll have to see if luck finds him more favorable in the future. And hey, there you go. Can't hit a player? Might as well hit a bot. It's going to do you all the favors in the world at that point. Finds himself a little bit of the extra mats, bolstering his resources. Going to be good here, but I will say, is it going to be good enough as we see those Western players coming out from the retail row actually getting into placement? You can hear the absolute gunfire in that background. A big presence with the snipes and the shots on this field side, and Varde knows that. Varde's going to keep it quiet, going to keep it chill here inside until he absolutely must make a move. To update everybody, we are now down to that 25% marking here for the series as a whole. Only 15 players left across the board. Notably, Verst up there getting another kill for himself. This guy has been hot across the board. We notably saw him over on the side of what was that Colossal Crops earlier in the game, and he found his initial kills there, and he's continuing to do so. So hopefully we'll see how that plays out. Being said, a little bit of a high ground taken out, and Varde making a move in towards the center of here. Lazy Lake's a bit of a dangerous pathing, if I would say so myself. No coverage on his end, no kind of defense, and could easily be shot out, but as he finds himself into this next house, he is within safety. I will say, with the verticality that is available here, it's going to be an ear game, because there's definitely individuals who might be playing towards this top side or below him at any given point, but with the advantage being on top of this building, definitely be able to play around it. I think Varde does notice that they have some bottom presence. Ooh, immediate great shots with the pump to come down. The build is available. He's going to drop below and see if he can get into there. Pulls back with the edit. Unable to find the shot available, but he's in such a good position to delete what is Lucky Shepherd. Beautiful play on that one. Absolutely incredible movement in response. And now with the attention that is being brought to him, he's got to make the defense. Sadly, there wasn't much to pick up there in terms of the additional resources, but he is being pressured out. This is a massive hotspot. So you have roughly 5 players all within the same area right now. And Varde on the lowest end of it all here, right towards the ground here. We'll have to see if he makes some sort of escape, but you can definitely hear the position of those around him putting up quite the farce. That being said, he finds himself a little bit of a calm within the storm, no pun intended. And that being said, he is in perfect position for this next circle's enclosure here, as Lazy Lake is beginning to look less and less out of the picture. Across the way there, you can see an absolutely massive tower being developed as Verde spotting some diving right across from him and got another stand building out on his left there. Here's see if he might push up on that at any given point. Maybe bolsters effect. Notably, position does matter, but kills do bolster those points. He's got the 1 on his belt. The 10th place right now, putting him 8 point up. To notably go over, if you find a victory royale, you're at 20, 2nd, 16, 3rd, 13, 4th, 10, 5th, 9, and then from there on, it's just those singular objective on terms of those points. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But personally, nothing particular crazy. We've dropped about 5 members, 10 left here. Most of them all being on that Lazy Lakes end here as they all have come back city. Finally, make here. He wants to get in good road. Notably, he knows that player is towards the high ground there, but I'm not sure if he has the bottom position. Last circle there. He's going to be making a move, rotating up here. Seeing Pop find something now. Do have a little bit of on the lake there from another individual competitor. He's got himself up and going to be trying to farm some of the extra mats as the circle continues to close into its very last ebbs and flows here. He can play around the jump pads, he can play around his med kits, but past that, he is on the bottom here. And as players do rotate in from the Lazy Lakes hillside, he might get a few free shots in, but we'll have to see if he's able to kind of bolster himself out of this low ground as the rest of the squads are beginning to work their way in here as he plays more towards that lake side. Oh, actually going to be moving in here. Now he is finally spotted out by his lake competitor over on the side there. He's going to be making retreat. He tried to see if there was any particular resources that he could pick up, but now he has the thirst for blood. Seeing what is available there, you do have Sturm on the side. Recently just got the additional kill from that push. Gonna see if Varde's able to compete. Cranky, though, over on the side top end. This is back towards that hill. You're going to be forced to push down towards that lake as well here. Now, this is where a major hotspot is with the 3 additional players all playing around, but he does have that incredible high point to his advantage, and most notably, he doesn't have to push in at all just yet. That being said, definitely leading the board right now, considerably sitting at 15 points himself, with 6 of those kills on his belt, looking like a surefire competitor here that might win it all. But finds himself the drop. He's got the double cannons to play with as well as those launch pads. Sadly, no heals to his name. He's going to be playing off of the general shielding that he does have. But personally, as a man skilled as this, going for those shots, I think he might be just fine here. Now, plays around the storm. He's already making a good move here, doing his best to defend and push himself out with the building as he moves forward, but he has been spotted out right in front of him. The players have gotten the early step on him. They create that building right in front as he takes toe, going higher and higher. You can hear that lake contrast right below him. Good high ground, I will say, as that circle continues to move in, able to try to pull forward with that snipe, unable to find the shots when needed. Finally, as that storm deals as much as it can, he's now going to be taking advantage of this late rush that is available, trying to drop below, find himself right on the competitor available into that 1v1 there. He's finally able to knock a bit of that health. The pump finally is almost able to. He's within that storm. It's looking low, and this is where we talk about some of the health. He does get the siphon off to push him back up in terms of health. Throws down that splash cannon to get his shielding further and further back up here to full, and he's looking absolutely great as he continues to push in towards this high ground here. Now, pushing himself back up with 7 kills on board, maybe possibly going to find that 8. Verst on the other side, I know we brought him up earlier, is actually able to take out, sadly, Varde. His push into the lake was not successful, but now into the sky. Not quite sure who this might be. If it's Verst, it's definitely going to be a tussle for the muscle here. No shielding available as he's got to make some source of healing. Cranky pushed down that cannon there, gets him, and it's an easy kill onto Verse. A bit of a shame, as Verse was looking like a surefire competitor to win it all here into this first series. That being said, he has lost his high ground here, and now he's going to have to continue to compete for this advantage as Sturm, making the rotations, has found himself an advantage, but Cranky's not going to take that. He's going to try to make his way over to this building here and see if he can get on top. And Sturm drops low. He's able to find the initial shot here onto what is Cranky. He's trying to see if he can get around the back into the storm. They go. Personally, no additional shots found here on Cranky. Cranky doing his best to eke it out. Ooh, massive shot found, and Sturm at the last second goes down. Cranky with 9 kills to boot finds his way on to a victory royale. It's definitely hectic, and it's definitely the variance in skill that we discussed. But I'll tell you what, it was intense. You had Varda, you had Cranky, you had Sturm all coming into that last circle there. And at the end of the day, it came down to who had that better positioning, played around the build, and got in a little bit with a little bit, maybe that tenacity behind him, that chutzpah, getting in there and going for the fight when you don't even know if you're going to take it all. That being said, massive congrats to Cranky. That's going to put him up at almost 29 points, I believe. So massive, huge. That being said, we are going to be throwing it to a break here on Team Liquid. We'll be right back as we make our way towards that second series. So stick around.
Got me way up.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alienware Tournament Series here at Team Liquid. We're currently in our European bracket in the day one phase. If you're just joining us, we just got done with our first round of the day, and we saw some incredible competition, notably from players like Cranky, Verst, and Sturm, all placing within that top three. Just a quick reminder regarding how the points work here tonight. We do have the kill feed as a whole, so any kills that come through will be awarded that 1 point. But furthermore, placing on that victory royale gets you the 20, second 16, third 13, fourth 10, 9, all the way down. That being said, these players are still in major contention. Only the first 100 move on, so we'll have to wait and see how they manage to battle their way through this one. We saw, like I said, a huge variance in terms of skill level from some of the best management I've seen in terms of defense to some of the slowest pacings, but hopefully get a little bit more excitement going on here on the stream. I will say this lobby a lot smaller than the last one. Notably, we are starting back off with Verst. To give you that update, he placed third, and he did have a massive belt of kills to note here, coming in with 6 at the very end. Sadly, notably, with that umbrella there, he did not find major success and got shot down by what I believe was Sturm. But moving on here as these players continue to shift towards the west here, looking at Kiratap La Baguette. Definitely an interesting name as he makes his way over towards the west. That being said, curious to see where they put the presence in terms of landing. They're down by what is the Slurpy Swamp, kind of the Weeping Woods area. We will get a notification regarding where that storm places in the next 30. But to bring it back to a previous point before anything really exciting occurs, we are down to a 40-person lobby. So notably, that is roughly about two-thirds of what we were dealing with in the first series, so a lot more sparse. We might not see as much action coming into this first game here, as we do see Kirtap placed down onto what is the very, very edge outskirts of those Weeping Woods towards the very, very west. Nothing particular he's going to find himself too dastardly in. A little bit of those AI, see if he can find himself some additional to play around. But now, taking it back towards Lucid out on the mountain cape, right below the caddy corner. Notably, no players to particularly note within his face there. But Mosky over towards Misty Meadows. This one a little bit more competitive. Got a couple players within the area. He definitely can hear this on the outskirts, finding himself that automatic and the shield to bring him up. That 50 point there. Going to have the fish to heal with as well, possibly if he takes any additional skirmish. But right now, he's got to focus on getting those mats among in his belt so he can go for something that can be a bit more contestable, as he might run into whoever he does here at Misty Meadows. Notably, though, we do have something of a bit more northern-based circle here, as everyone from the south is going to have to be moving up, so getting rid of Lazy Lake, Caddy Corner, Misty, Slurpy Swamp, like we saw at the very beginning there, all going to be something of a potential move here. Mosky, though, sticking on the inside. Finds himself that med kit, a lot of good sustain. This could be very good in terms of if he takes a fight on these outskirts here for the Meadows, but playing it very safe. Very, very safe, I will say. Just gonna harvest it up, and hopefully might see someone rotate down here, as they all have to make a move here very shortly. Notably, you can hear those audio cues. It's not like he knows he's alone. Yeah, there you go. There's the pressure. This man's already starting to aim out towards the window here. Knows he's got someone over on the side. The build has already begun as those echoes do come out, trying to get some general location, as he is going to look to possibly third party this spot here. Now making himself known. Those walls are going to be a little bit too hard for him to get any initial break, but the mentality is get that high ground. Get on top of there, get up with this building, and see if he can find a better point of vantage here. As he is able to collapse down. Just barely misses the scan on that read there, so isn't quite found out as well. Doing a very good job to kind of mimic and play it out. Now, as we do see the players coming in from the south there, they are to pick up, but he has the extra shot here. Walls coming up. Sadly, he was not able to break most of that shield down before he came in, but he goes forward for that kill, puts up the wall. He's down, looking at 42 of his health with a pump, and sadly, he's going to be taken out here by Rifted. And Rifted over on the side, now the third party going to be on his end of the field as he's got the hillside coming in as well as the player from below trying to make his way. He's trying to get a bit of that shielding up into the best possible area that he can as he drops down looking for some sort of fight. He's able to break a little bit of that shielding as he steps back into it. A good wall for the defense, but it's not going to be enough as Skyway goes down as well. So Rifted pushing himself up 2 kills as he brings himself and rakes it down to that 30-player mark, 75%. We'll say the hillside has moved forward as the lasers are coming through from the top and trying to see if he can play down, and the shotties are breaking out. The walls are up. They change positions. He's now below. He's now up. Rifted going to be getting towards the upper edges of this house, trying to see if he can make his way out, probably find himself a bit of safety to maybe heal up, get some of those slurps, get the shielding back in his favor. Just doing the best he can. He's able to get a couple seconds available, but he does know he's on his left. The walls are there. Doesn't have quite that ability to go for the full edit. We do see the breakage coming out here, and he's able to just quickly put up the stairwell and play it back as he tries to get a big chug out, and it's a beautiful shot right through the wall there to take out the entirety of that shield, and he's now looking to finish the job forward here. Sadly, not quite able to land the kill that he particularly wanted, but he's able to get his shielding back up. The resource was available. Now going to take a big risk here, go for the 10-second med kit. Both of them are going for the big heal, so I think it's going to be available, but not quite. The charge on the end here prevents him from getting that major heal off when necessary, so now he's got to play on the back end. He's going to go for it again, but still, he doesn't quite find the safety that he wants as the push continues and the blast keeps hitting here. Rifted over on the side now, going for the lowest point that he can. 6-5, still can't quite hit it as those charges just do not stop. I like this though. He is doing his ever-loving best to try to get in there, to try to find a little, as the walls tick down. He just barely misses what was possibly the health on that medkit. He's gonna keep going. Ooh. Blast continue forward as he has lost that high ground, so can be continuing to launch downwards on him as a whole, and hopefully this time he's not able to quite get the med here. At this point I say forgo the med, just remove the problem, get rid of the root at its core. Come on, Rifted. He's never going to let you go for that full heal. You've got to take it out. Now, I suppose it is a game of pace and play, but playing off of the jump there, he's able to get out the best he can, and it's the only thing he can do at this point, given that he is in such a pressurized situation. But Matt's collected resources up. The chase will ensue very quickly here. He's able to get a good tug on some of the shielding, but they have separated themselves out here in the Misty Meadows area. Notably, they've got to make a move. That storm is coming in, and Rifted's in a poor position now, still unable to get those major heals that he needs. He's able to spot out the defense right on that island there, so hopefully this is going to be enough to warrant him to finally grace the presence of this completed med kit. Honestly, this should be an award in itself. There we go, 100 baby, finally able, and I think Rifted is willing to take the fight here at this point. He's able to see immediately on the escape there what is a good sense of shots. The walls come down, going to be defending it out as the shields are available. Able to leap across that lake without having to deal with the slowed on the movement speed as he's trying to now break into the jail cell that has been made here for his competitor. Over on the top, playing around a little bit of that high ground. Nothing too crazy. Able to finally take down what is Skipper X. Notably, Skipper X placing in a pretty good position for himself. 25 with the 2 kills that last time around. Someone we notably took in. But now, moving our way back to Ace. Cool kid. Sadly, in the last round, he only found himself those 2 kills, but right now, he does have the 1 and the 24 to his belt, so already doing a lot better into this second series as a whole, but he looks to be in quite the perilous situation. While he does have the charge, the pump is only going to be his best bet, as close as he is, unable to find it, but he's able to get the siphon off on that kill. He was down to 1 health, and now, sadly, he's going to be absolutely blasted from what is the spaceship on the edge. That laser doing so much work, and it's such a shame he managed to clutch it out at the last second. But now, Derry Ake, he's the one with all the spoils to boot. He's going to take advantage of it as a whole and continue moving on with the spaceship to play around with these lasers and just blast whoever he might be able to find. That being said, he's locked his eyes on a target. The buildings have come down here. The safety not really going to be an availability here as he is pushed out, comes down with the pop shotgun, playing around what is this wall here, breaks in, able to find an excellent pump here onto May, pushing himself up to 4 kills and bringing it down to what I believe is now our halfway point here of this round, 20 for 40. So half the players that were originally in the lobby now playing out, and he's destroying a massive sense of this building as we do get a good look of the circle here, primarily focused around that major Boney Burbs area. Notably, you do have a big part of that Corny Complex and Pleasant Park that haven't quite been taken advantage yet in terms of movement, as everyone's definitely playing the slow game here. There is no reason to kind of move in just yet, and notably, my apologies, we go back to Varde. Came in here, placed 4th in our first series of the night, and while his kill count was not high, those points definitely do stack up, so he does have the 11 to play with on his belt for tonight's series or rounds as a whole. But moving forward, we'll have to wait and see how he moves out on the edge. Zyro over on the side here, maybe a little bit more forward, trying to get himself healed back up. A good sense of kills on his belt 3, so he's definitely playing aggressive to boot, trying to find his next and best. He's got the chug cannons to definitely bolster his aggressive abilities as he looks to find any competitor to take out. That being said, moving back down towards this western end, Ashi taking advantage of the extra height advantage from the ship here, able to get a beautiful high ground and just play and see who or what they might be able to find. Now, notably, this is going to draw a lot of attention, but with all the chugs available there, I think there's a lot of safety to be had. And personally, until the storm primarily moves in, I don't think we're going to be seeing that much action. He might spot out this movement here right below him. He's got to move up a little bit forward, but past that, I don't think he'll be spotting anyone to really take out anytime soon. So, no surprise there, he makes the move. That being said, Derry Ake, who manned for those massive storm pulls with his spaceship earlier, does take out our initial pull on Rifted, who is playing around that kind of Misty Meadows area. So a bit of a shame. Rifted finally got taken out. Sadly, the 100+ medkit he was finally able to get pulled through didn't actually garner him any success. That being said, Ashi, just shooting it out. There's no one here to punish. He's so far up that there's nothing to really play around. That being said, we are going to move over to Sim, hiding, as I will say, in the corner here. No kills to boot on his name. Once again, I bring up a little bit of the level of variance of the players. And I will say, since there is no apparent storm surge available, where, you know, you force these players to get a little bit more competitive, there's not going to be that much that entices them to fight out, so playing it slow is the name of the game. But moving on to destroy bots, it looks like that spaceship finally putting in the work that we were waiting here for from Ashi. Destroy going to be doing his best to move back, is popped out a little bit by the shield, but he's going to turn his attention back on his ship, see if he can knock it down or make his way to one of these buildings before he gets taken out. Puts the buildings up for as much defense as he can. The resources are not going to be that plentiful moving towards the circle, but it is necessary for the survival here. You can get into the building. They might be able to get the shields back up, but the health is now starting to tick down as the lasers barrage continues to strike downwards. Finally, bots in the house here. Going to get the best heal they can. Tries to get over to that massive shielding. Going to probably put himself up to 50, as sadly, it's just too much. 15 health left to go. Moves out of this house. Tries to find himself somewhere better to defend. It's going to bring a little bit of attention, but hopefully it's enough time for Destroy Bots to actually get the shields available and put himself in a better position in terms of having a little bit more competitive leeway. That being said, Boney Burbs being a definite high point. Varde, notably, was able to take out Zyro, who is a big presence here, taking what was those chug cannons and putting them to good use. Going to be utilizing this card to get in, my apologies, make his way back into the storm here. Notably going to lose a good chunk of the health available to him, but a lot better than the initial reaction we saw from Varde last time. Already has that 1 kill to the belt and possibly going to be doing better, but now 7-4 here over on the side, notably placed in what was that 10th place position with 5 kills, so a big one to boot here for tonight's series. I will say no kills yet, so not as inciting as we saw in that first game. They're definitely looking, they're definitely hunting, trying to drop down, trying to use the advantage on this high ground. Finds what is that legendary assault rifle, going to be putting that to good use, hopefully, if they can get into a better mid-range position. But this massive kingdom here is definitely quite the push for Alki to find hopefully someone to look for, but holding high ground is your best bet, I would say, because at the end of the day, all these players are going to have to make a move at some point. But Alki thirsts for blood, ladies and gentlemen, looking for some kind of kill. He finally finds the initial target here, the unusual suspect that he might take advantage of, and at this point, it's like a dog in a cage here. Alki can do all that he wants to just wait this one out. And as he pushes him further into a single step, you see him drop down, tries to find himself a little bit of a hidey hole. And it's just going to be a waste of mats at this point, as Alki has everything in their power to just absolutely rip that. And I will say, all this pressure has drawn a lot of attention. Alki going to pull back. He does not want to go for any kind of full fight with the Storm pushing in without all the shielding to his full power. And taking that pass pad, he's going to be bouncing out towards this next hillside into that kind of Bony Burbs northern eastern side here. And with that ahead of him, he can now turn around on this hillside and definitely play towards those who might be moving in from that previous position. Sadly, wasn't able to get those kills that they wanted, but able to get into a good spot where they might find them. That being said, a large ship here that maybe Alki can take advantage of. I will say at this point, it's a little bit too tight. Godspeedy, though, on the side. Once again, a little bit more of the slower pacing of one of these players. No kills to boot and not too many resources that might bolster the effect. But in that 15th position, does find himself with the 7 points right off the bat. That being said, pushing out into the open here, just kind of playing the outskirts of the edge onto the Bony Burbs. We still have roughly 15 players available across the board, but now moving back to Varde, who finds himself in a bit of peril here. Notably, he still has those chug cannons to make good use of as he heals himself back up, but he can't quite find it. Finds the pump on the edge as these walls continue to tear down here for Varde, trying to find some level of safety to get those heals back up as he loses what was the high ground that he had in terms as it takes into an even platform. Varde takes a risk. He's going to drop. He needs to get out of there and find some source of chug to get himself healed back up, and those mini potions are going to do just that. Now putting Varde in a much better position on the very edge of that storm, but it's still going to be rough for him to make his move, trying to play around with that legendary assault rifle, maybe get some picks on the side, places that jump pad down, and he's going to be making the best escape that he can as he takes any kind of rain of fire here towards his escape into the midst of what is the Bony Burbs. That being said, might be a corn fight here, as they do find themselves right on top of one another. Varde taking advantage of those chug cannons to get himself back up to full health as he continues to build higher, trying to find back what was that high ground advantage that he possibly may have had. That being said, he's in a good spot here to get himself back up into a good source of 100-100 positioning. So full, ready to go. Those engines are revving. Varde now can take whatever kill he wants. I will say pace of play has slowed to a halt here for him as a whole, as he's just kind of waiting to see who might come and contest the center area here on Bony Burbs. That being said, the circle is absolutely incredible. Completely centered around the playset as a whole. There are a lot of buildings that they might be able to take advantage of in terms of that high ground. We do see Hashi, notably, who was playing around the spaceship earlier, now taking advantage of the exact high ground I just discussed. Once again, 100-100, actually notably probably right above what is Varde. Now, notably, no kills to have been found, just getting good positioning out on here, seeing who might be coming in from the storm or who might be playing around some of these high points built off of these buildings. But Ashi loves the sky. We saw him win the spaceship. We now see him in the brick house. I mean, no difference across the board here. Playing towards the height is definitely something that has played towards Ashi's advantage across the board. Second with the 12th, going to be pushing himself to what is a 9-point lead here coming into the second round. I don't believe we saw anything particularly notable in the first series here, but might possibly be wrong on that one. That being said, Nothing too exciting. No one's pushing out on him. He's just able to kind of pin him over from the side here. Go for those massive echoes, see who they might be able to possibly find over there, and just take out what he can in terms of the resources. And speaking of resources, Ashi doesn't quite have much in terms that sustain past those chug cannons, but that being said, I think that'll be just enough as he spots over on the side, unable to break the full extent of those shields from that leap there, but it's enough to keep in position. Apologize, but I do not know how to pronounce that name, but definitely looking low. Shiro over on the side, a little bit tight, and TDS now moving in here towards the actual Bony Burbs area. Notably, no protection whatsoever, just making a hard, aggressive move off of those pepper plays. And I will say, now trying to find some sort of kill here over on the side, playing off of that low ground, able to defend himself, and was actually surprising, able to walk through that whole area of Bony Burbs without taking a single shot. That being said, these walls are coming down. They're trying to find some kind of pop as the assault rifle continues to tick down the walls that are available. We do see that medium chug come out here to put TDS back into a better position in terms of the 100% shielding. And notably, there isn't much further here for the push on the opposite side of his competitor. But now BD Godspeedy making the move into this area. And notably, he does not have a good analysis of who's right in front of him. The double there of what was TDS and his competitor. And now he's just going to try to put himself in a better high ground, hopefully to get himself healed up, get those shield better spot. And that's exactly what he's going to do, but it's not at the cost of the pressure around him. Trying to play with the pump, trying to play with the walls, edit them back out. It's going to be enough to get the 50-50 off. Let's see if he can get that full extent through, and does just that. Notably, only 7 players now alive on the map. We're down past that 25% mark here as the circle will begin to start moving here past what is Bony Burbs, and these players begin to have to rotate. I will say Godspeedy, while the 1 kill on his belt, does have a good source of resources to play around in terms of the health, and he's just kind of playing, edging, seeing what he can do. And now we go back to Verse. This was notably the 3rd place winner of our first series. Only 2 kills to his belt compared to the 6 in Series 1, but still in a good chunk of success where he might find victory coming into this second series. That being said, he's already making a move towards the edge of the storm. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get caught out the same way he did in the first series, coming for that leap, getting shot out of the sky. That being said, he's going to have to deal with those who are in front of him first to get that competitive end, and he might be completely pinched here. Over on the side, comes over the back with a punch shotgun, taking the damage. It's going to be it for Verst, finding his way on the 6-leg. Ashi coming down from the high ground, playing out of the sky to come and take his life. That being said, Ashi now gonna have to take some time, play back with the chug, try to get the shielding up as they can, and the storm continues to move. Opts to go for that low ground, quite opposite compared to what we've been peddling this entire time. Sadly unable to find that chug when he needed it. That being said, might take an extra second here just to get a little bit off before the storm continues to burn and tick this one out. 5 of the last players left alive here as Ashi continues to play the lowest of the low ground, right below where everyone is building here. And that might prove useful now for his success in getting himself possibly healed up, but as he gets to the actual circle, his competitors are going to realize the perilous position that he happens to be in, and that's exactly what they do. Immediately the take is there. He finds the siphoned kill on to BD Godspeedy, and now he's going to try to take that high ground, put himself into a higher position, but it's not going to be enough as he continues to tick down from the storm, and it's going to be the storm that kills Ashi. Now TDS, earlier we saw with the pepper, the heat running into what was that gas station there in the complete low ground, able to get the drop there, but it's not going to be enough to pull him complete to the ground. Tries to now play up towards that higher end side, and instead is going to go up, play above as much as possible, and it's going to be TDS of all people who finds that victory royale with the 3 kills to boot. Honestly, massive props to TDS here. I did not expect that victory coming out the way it did, particularly coming in at the very end there with what was an incredible rush onto that gas station and then into the build that led towards that victory. Gotta hand it to him. Sadly, we didn't see Verst or the rest of them in terms of Ashi, who had those high kill counts, actually find their way to getting that victory royale. But the placement and plus the additional, leeway that they have found is going to bolster their position into today's EU rounds. That being said, though, we are going to be taking it to a break here on Team Liquid as we look to finish up what will be probably or maybe the last game of the day here. Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Team Liquid Alienware Tournament Series. We are bringing you the first day of our EU bracket. If you're just joining us, you're coming into our third series here of the day. We've seen some great plays across the board, notably from players like Verst, Varde, Cranky, TDS, and much to name a few. That being said, I will remind everyone that only the top 100 players will move on. And yes, while this series does continue out through the rest of June all the way up until July, there's only so many spots that will make their way towards the finals. That being said, we had a great second game there, a lot more explosive than our first one. A bit more excitement as we got the cameras working out and pinned into some actual good holds here. But as we see the Battle Bus approach here from that south kind of eastern corner here, we'll definitely see a bit more of a western kind of northern take as everyone looks to come back. And notably, we're starting with Surgical Goblin, our Clash Royale player here at Team Liquid. And we didn't get quite a recording on how the second game worked out here for Surgical, but I will note in that first, he found himself the double kill into what was, I believe, that kind of 20th area of positioning. So not terrible in terms of getting out of the top 100 here today in the EU bracket. That being said, continuing to head consistently a little bit north here, going to be looking like a landing at around that kind of sub-Dirty Docks post-retail area. Able to actually find an immediate fight right off the bat. Justin, for you, the first kill of the game. A perfect shot to get a hold here at the very beginning. I will say Surgical Goblin with the one kill on his belt now going to be able to farm quite safely, stack up those resources, and put himself in a good position for the future here. That being said, we do see a little bit of the first play. Verst, notably, we can talk about this guy. He found himself a third place position in Series 1, sixth in his second round here in the EU bracket. That being said, the kill counts have been consistently very high from this individual competitor as a whole. I'm extremely excited to see where he might find himself as the circle continues to close in. And it actually happens to be just south of him here, right below that corny complex area. Notably, his positioning was a little bit wonky, but we'll see how it improves. That being said, I will say it's going to be that Slurpy, Weeping Woods, Lazy Lake, Misty kind of game, and actually most of the players are already within that area given the positioning of that battle bus. Now, notably, I will say Verst has not quite found any particular major kind of weapon to bolster himself with, but the resource collection is the name of the game in terms of pacing here to begin with, and because of all those resource collections, he's going to take advantage of that initial assault rare rifle that he does find. That being said, a continued attack. He'll definitely find his way towards the south here as we go in, but now we make our move here over to Shiro. Now, notably, he does find himself maybe in a little bit of peril as he does hear from those sound cues the individuals that might be around him. Sending in what would be those fireflies are going to be enough to dissuade anyone with the pressure as he burns and sets an arson to the place before him. Might find himself in the forward here of Believer Beach, and there is a player in that building across the way, and he has spotted that out, so actually going to be lighting it aflame here, as maybe he'll cause all those bugs to crawl out of their woodwork here and find a kill to begin with. That being said, defensive positioning, nothing too crazy off the bat, good resource collection, able to find the bandages and the medkit that will sustain hopefully through what will be this next fight. I will say most of the entities here at Believer Beach have moved towards that northern end, and Shear's in the best spot because as this circle continues to close in, they're going to have to make a move, but immediately we see an initial shot engaged. Shiro does not spot it out from the west there, and he's going to take that shot as well, and we do see the top end there as he's actually now getting pinched out from moving too far forward. The rotation not to his advantage at that point. Going to be playing back and moving towards what will be that next circle. Hopefully going to be able to play the engage a lot better in this car, doing most of the work to get him there. So nothing too crazy. Shiro's going to find himself in a little bit of safety as he continues to play that one forward off of those snipes, and I think he'll be just fine. That being said, Circle continues to close forward. We go back to TDS. Notably, TDS took our first place victory here in the second series as a whole, finding him that victory royale, playing around those peppers as well as some of the low tier moves. And honestly, it's the aggressive play style here from TDS that garnered him the win that he so successfully found, getting into the face, taking those major risks at the behest of what could be a defense. And he already finds himself into a poor position as Holly Hedges is going to get a little bit more dastardly into the immediate engage here as the players now contesting for a spot here as the circle will close in. TDS able to get a good source of shielding off as they both heal up to their best of abilities here. But at the end of the day, it's dependent on who's got that high ground, who's got that split-second reaction to play this one off. TDS, though, moving up a little bit further here. I think he might want to make his way back towards this building, get a good analysis. He does spot out what is his competitor. Noticeably, he doesn't have the high ground, but he's able to find the appropriate shielding, and now the aggression that I've talked about is coming out here, trying to find his way up higher and higher. That pump not quite going to hit as the drop comes through. TDS absolutely incredible consistency off of that drop, able to find shot without taking a single ounce of damage in the part there. Now that launch pad expended outwards, TDS not going to let the prey escape that he has set his eyes onto. Into the building he goes. He is getting shot out a little bit from afar there as the rest of the players are moving in from that Holly Hedges area, but TDS does not care. This is the sense that we saw earlier, and that shielding's not going to do anything for Sturm. That was Sturm, notably. Sturm placed second in our first series, so that is a huge pull to take here into this third and possibly final round here of the EU bracket. That being said, TDS with the 1 kill on his belt, going to be making his way into the circle and might possibly run into another entity here into this house. But still, honestly, from that engagement as a whole, you can see the skill level of this player. Past that, though, just collecting those resources, all those noises are going to definitely put him into a position where, as you can see from the south there, we do have... Oh, he's going to be making a little bit of a trade here. See what that garners him as a whole as he moves in. Curiously, he does not pick up any kind of sniper rifle. He's definitely a bit more on the shorter end of the play style. And putting himself up in this attic, I think he's just going to be calming down for a little bit as he waits to see if anyone might push into his registered field. And honestly, don't think we might see any of that for a long time. That being said, this is the smallest roster of the night. Just to touch on it, we did start the match off with only 26 players, so it's going to be pretty sparse in between across the board. We won't see much engagement until that very last embers of a circle begin to form towards the south here, as everyone pretty much gets their own area to themselves. That being said, it's the perfect time to collect resources. We might see some absolutely massive castles be built today. And personally, while I enjoy my sand castles, these players, they prefer their brick or metal. That being said, we do see a car approaching TDS here, going to be taking advantage of that early knowledge. The wall's coming down as the player jumping out here to get that early advantage, tries to find some sort of snipe, but TDS is hot with the defense in terms of putting himself, but he is on that heavy low ground. Trying to see where he might be able to find some source of competition into what is going to be an assault rifle barrage, as he now is looking to contest a bit higher up. He's a type of player that likes to get in the face of his opponents, and that's exactly what TDS is trying to do. Now, those snipes didn't garner any kind of health advantage here for his competitor, so TDS is still in a great spot with all the available entities in terms of resource management to his ability, and just barely steps out of what is the snipe there. And over on the side there, tries to get the leap on the edge, and TDS doesn't find the shot, but he's able to back off into a good corner here now, knowing the position has been given up. And oh, throws out a clap. Throws out the clap, says, hey buddy, you could try for the leap, you could try for the snipe, but you ain't gonna find me. And that's exactly what TDS plans to do consistently here now. Comes through with those edits, tries to get up the high ground, finally able to find what is a little bit of the shield break here for a bit. Sniped out on that high end as he still doesn't have what is the high ground. Gonna take a second, go back for the heal. Now this is possibly maybe a little bit of waste, but personally I don't think he has the opportunity given the pressure here from that sniper rifle. Notably in that corner there, you can see the UFO off in the distance. That could provide a little bit dangerous here for TDS if he doesn't make a move shortly, and these players continue to move in from what is the Bony Burbs, but puts himself back up, 100 shielding, and he's going to continue to take this fight as a whole. That being said, completely high up, and I think his competitor has completely lost him. Moving forward, he's trying to see it, and Don't think he continually finds. That is going to be a drop there from the edge of what was a snipe, and TDS reaps his rewards completely from the advantage of that snipe. That's pretty good on his end of the docket. Switches back out for those peppers, going to be taking advantage of those in the future. Now he moves back towards that car and going to be heading consistently more and more south. Better positioning, get into that storm, play around that. That being said, I believe that's a bit it for TDS. We've seen him play it out the best to his ability. Surgical Goblin not quite moving that much further, but a lot of chug cannons to boot on his belt for the health and safety. Nobly playing around with his assault and his assault shotgun there on the side. Now, he might play Clash Royale, but he does have a good history with Fortnite on the side too, so he has the experience to come into what are some of these fights. Now, doesn't quite have the high ground, but he's in a good spot to find a decent shot to rip part of that shred. And over onto the side, Surgical goes, not taking advantage on the high ground as a whole, trying to see if he can eke out what is a little bit of a crack in the metal, and he's doing a great job. He's finding excellent shots here on the side, and it's going to be a one tap that pulls him off, drops in, misses the shot, and it's going to be King who finds that successful first kill of the game. It's definitely got to suck, and those double chug cannons are going to do all the work here to put King in a perfect position to continue the hunt further. We love you, Surgical, man, but it's such a shame. That being said, we do have an update on the circle here. It is going to be more apparent towards this Slurpy Swamp area. Taking a look towards the south end of that circle between Best Fighter Alpha. Now, he does have a little bit of a pull towards the valley here, as there is another individual that might possibly run into. And this car is going to give away a little bit of that location as we do see him turn around. And as he drops forward, he already probably knows where this man is. He's making the hustle into what is a massive metal domicile. He isn't able to quite find the snipe that was necessary, but now the setup is there for the response. He sets up with another charge rifle shot, doesn't quite find it, and now the move is on into the high ground. His competitor goes. He's going to pop back in to his buggy bowl meal and send himself out into the ocean. Actually, going to see if he can wrap around here, get over to the buildings on the side, see if he can foster back into the high ground, or possibly just rotate over towards Slurpy Swamp and begin getting a position on that one. And honestly, if he's just going for some resource collecting here, I can understand that as well. But personally, that's going to be it for now for Best Fighter Alpha. That being said, Swaggy over on the side finds a good kill onto Aoki, and now into Slurpy Swamp we go with as funny as a name as it is, rated R, Kirito on the very uppermost high ground here, getting as much stone as he possibly can to defend what will possibly become his kingdom come up here. That being said, we do have most of the player base now rotating towards this major point of contention as the circle continues to close, and you've got all four members. And personally, he's making a lot of noise up here. He's got the escape available with the UFO if he wants to make a heavier move. Notably, he doesn't have a kill to his name, but sitting at that 14th place, he does have the 7 points. That being said, he collects the stone and he drops down. He has no intention of staying high. He wants to make the schmoves. He wants to get this rolling, and he plays it safe. He's definitely taking every advantage that he can to see what he can do. And the chug cannon going to be doing his best to actually heal him all the way up to full here for the further extent of what will be these next couple fights. That being said, still a lot of spacing in between here at Slurpy Swamp, so no one quite taking a fight just yet. Need a little bit more push here from the Storm. Wish we had a little bit of a storm surge available to force these players to get a little bit more contested instead of kind of sitting into their respective corners or cubby holes. But hey, it's the name of the game. If it works, it works. Keeps you alive, keeps you alive. At the end of the day, a majority of these points are earned from your position. That being said, we do see that next Eepings of this circle, it's going to be towards that kind of western end of Slurpy Swamp, towards what will be a little bit of that hillside we saw earlier. That being said, curious to see if Kirito now, with the little bit of verticality that does exist here in what is the Slurpy Swamp, might hear his competitors above or below him. Your ears got to be definitely keen when you go for what is, you know, a possible contestation here. That being said, no one notably is sticking out to me here on the broadcast, but possibly they're hearing Kirito, because this man is a swinging. He has yet to stop his assault upon these walls. And I'll be honest, it's a shame. I mean, I love plaster, I love walls, I love doors. They keep us safe at night. Why you gotta hurt them so? But that's the name of the game in Fortnite. Breaking down walls and getting rid of all the architecture that you so dearly love. at the benefit of a gunfight. That being said, we are now at 12 of the 26 available players here into this round as a whole. So that halfway point has come to a close 50% being left. And now with the circle being as close as it is, we might begin to see a little bit more of that kind of fighting or engage play style. But I'll be honest, until that circle really starts moving, it's not going to be too contested. But Kirito spotted out. Finally, his noise going to be the end of him as Kara finds it on the edge here. Able to easily sneak up and get an instant pump on him, and that's a bit of a shame. And I called it out. This man was making so much noise, didn't have much defense as a whole, and was actually clearing out the space to put himself into what was a very poor position as the rest of them took him out. That being said, taking it down to that almost 10th mark here, there's a little bit of a drop towards that north end of Slurpee Swamp. Curious if anyone makes the rotation. I don't particularly think so, but I apologize, this name a little bit difficult. We're going to call him CR for the time being. CR making his way over on the edge here, being very cautious in terms of who might possibly be within the area in these last ebbs in the buildings. Notably, that firefight on Kirito had to have brought someone closer into the range of what might be contention. Notably, they might be on the high ground, though. So just overwatching, waiting to see who might come in to the Slurpee Swamp area. But a lot of stillness tonight. This third series definitely much slower than the second one, and as standard gets with most of these Fortnite games that don't have some of those pushing inhibitors or additional foregrounds. So, well, you know, try to make it as entertaining as we can, but most of these players just kind of playing around the edge. And on the northern side here, we see King once again, notably who found the kill there onto Goblin earlier, now taking what is a good contested fight and drops below, unable to find that kill and finds himself onto that kind of 27 health pool. Now eeping back up into the high ground here, is going to be making as big of a heal as he can. That being said, it looks like both players are doing so as they're both giving each other full liberty to heal up. Now, I will say Circle has come through here. It's going to be pushing everyone off of Slurpee Swamp, and King is in a great position here if he finds these successful kills, if he manages to get out of what could possibly be the next third party to actually make a continuous run here further. That being said, it looks like he's definitely taking a pace slow here as he's just trying to ebb it out, see what might be the next kind of move for his competitor, see where they might be coming from. We do see those echoes just giving as much as they can in terms of information. And over from the side, the snipe from the north coming through there to blast what is this building, and it is incredible. Liquid Harmy, we haven't seen him all night. The content, the man himself, finally coming through. An excellent shot over. This is who we have been waiting for here at Team Liquid, one of our own personal best, and he's doing a great job already right off the bat. Finds himself the 4 kills and 10th place position, putting him up to what is 12 points consistently. Now over on the side, he hasn't quite made the move any which further into this deep circle, but he might be able to pick something off from any rotation here from Slurpee Swamp, but he's got a keen eye on this building setup in front of him. I am curious, though. There is someone right above or below him at this current moment. And as he puts himself onto high ground, curious where they might be eeping out, because he definitely is playing a lot more aggressive towards the entities around him than what could possibly take him out currently. That being said, a lot safer. Good kill count, good pressure from him as a whole. Completely stacked mats. Not quite the resources I would say to heal himself, but personally, at this point, he can find something from one of the competitors that he might take off or kill. But he continues to lay in there, finds a shield. The break comes through on his back end as the players are continuing to rush out on Harmy here. Tries to find himself up into a back of what is a high ground. Over there, notably on the kill feed, we do have Verst with another kill here from the rotation from what is the storm closing in. That being said, Harmy now trying to get a good guys on where or who might be pressuring him. He's able to see what is a massive, what looks to be checkered pattern tower right in front of him. So curious to see what his move might be there as a whole. That being said, Harmy now, no big deal. He's going to be starting to take it a little bit more aggressive, see if he can find the particular kill, and it's actually going to be the jump pad that he launches himself onto. Now, this could be a bit risky as the rest of the players will see this, but above the UFO he goes, probably out of the guise of those who are watching onto the building that is available here, putting himself in a great position for this storm with the rest of the squads. There's only one notable player who happens to be on the very edge of edge playing it on the out there. So in the next 17 seconds, we might see this one drop down to 6. But Harmy continuing to play around that kind of sniping playstyle that he is most crucially known for here on the upper end, seeing who might be pushing in. But I gotta break it to you, Harmy. They're all below you, bud. They're literally all below you. That being said, maybe with a possible rotation, you might find someone that does get a good break on the back end there. Here's see what he might foster as well, especially with a storm beginning to rotate in the next 40. So that's going to be an interesting one. Tries to pop one downwards, but nothing too crazy to be held as the rest of the squads are beginning to fight that one out. You do see Swaggy, who most notably did have a very high kill count in that first game, take off what was best fighter Alpha, who was playing around that edge there. So one player down, duck below as well. I believe that was the edge skirter. So that being said, Harmy now trying to see if he can get a little bit higher, play around the edge here, see if there's anyone else to maybe take advantage of. Open gap, though, available for him to echo this one out, see if he gets any extra visual available, but nothing quite stands out to him. The charge rifle is available. He drops down, tries to find what is his competitor below him, but he misses the shot as his floor does break above him. That being said, it's a quick build, and he's actually right in the face of someone on equal footing, and now the man is panicking. He's got to pull back. He's got to shift gears. It's no longer below. It's now above. Harmy now dropping, trying to run this one out. He sees the shift in the storm. He's going to be making the move early as early can be. Good rotation on his end. I'm surprised he didn't get caught out on what could have possibly been a massive sneak of a kill there. But that being said, he's keeping good watch, good control of his vantage point, and it's going to be the most perfect shot. You get caught sleeping and you go down. Ghost body finding himself into ghost. It's Swaggy finally dropping down from the top that takes out Harmy. We called it out earlier and it finally came through. He took the shot from the edge and Harmy paid the price as a result. Now Swaggy a little bit high up here is going to be trying to heal to the best. There is the chug cannon available to put Swaggy in a better position in terms of available health to proceed forward. But as there are only 4 players left, Swaggy does not care. He's going to be taking this aggressive and further, continuing to move this into the storm, taking that high ground, putting himself at the best possible position into the chug cannon, complete revive for 100 on the shield and health. That being said, complete guise of movement and watch Swaggy dropping down here, seeing if he can find himself towards that victory royale. His shielding is gone, and now he tries to cascade what will be possibly someone else contesting for his Kingdom Come Castle in that high ground. That being said, he goes for the leap here and tries to get himself back down. He's going to put himself very low at what might be the behest of those around him into the storm. He's a little bit of playing, so he's taking a good chunk of his health, so those chug cans are going to be making a big impact there as he goes for the heal. And now on the very edge of the storm, he's able to pocket what could be the additional competitors around him. Now, notably, he doesn't have the high ground, so CR, who we notably picked up earlier from his good kills in Slurp Swamp, doing his best with that charge to come through and take out what are those below him. So, the high ground is the name of the game here, and he's in a good spot to get what is a good 54 shot there on to Swaggy there in the bottom. TDS, notably, who did take the win here in our second series of the day here in the EU bracket, is still within the game, still within his right. He doesn't have the kills to boot, but this is exactly the same loadout that he won that second game. And Verse able to find the kill on to Swaggy there, and TDS now in a poor position right into the face of Verse there, trying to see if he can find the pump as Verse is looking for the heal, and it's going to be TDS who picks that one up. Now we only have CR and TDS. CR drops down, TDS getting that high ground into the storm. They go, finds the pump when necessary as the storm continues to tick down. CR, you've got to make a move in there. He goes, TDS low, 9-22, and it's going to be the drop from TDS to find his second victory royale here at Team Liquid. Look at that one. Coming through the claps, coming through with the taunt. He knows what he's done. That is a massive success of points to build here on himself. That's got to feel absolutely wonderful. Easily one of the best players that are going to be making his way further. I mean, it's got to be an incredible series of games here today. Absolutely wonderful performance from everyone who came through here at Team Liquid's tournament series, sponsored by Alienware. I've had an absolute blast making my debut here on Team Liquid, and I hope you guys enjoyed some of the content that we provided regarding some of these epic series here on the EU bracket. Tomorrow, we do have, or later today, we do have our NA bracket for what is the rest of this Fortnite series. So if you happen to play in this one, or you maybe want to watch some more of that, that'll be taking place later today at, I believe, 5 p.m. PTD. That being said, that's going to be all from me. I hope you all well, and I hope you have a good night.